One change that I would recommend for the agenda, is moving the new business, election of board officers to the first order of business, right after I call it to order here. So that would be my recommendation, is to just get that out of the way right away. But we can start with a roll call. I think everyone's here. So, any objections to that change to the agenda? Okay, we will entertain nominations for president of the library board.
I would nominate Troy.
I'll accept the nomination.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, sorry, I have to say that 3 times. Any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for unanimous ballot to elect Troy Kuntz as president.
Would make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, President Kuntz.
Rush on all my formalities. Alright. Like I said, I did a bunch of my formalities. Nominations for vice president.
The board can nominate yourself too, if you would like to be in that position.
Nominate Marcus for vice president.
I accept.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other nominations for vice president of the board? ×3, apparently. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? With that, John, can you restate what?
You entertain a motion for a unanimous ballot to be cast.
All right, well, I entertain a motion for unanimous ballot to be cast for Marcus as vice president.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next officer would be our secretary. Any nominations for secretary? Any volunteers for secretary?
I'll volunteer myself, I guess.
The second?
Second.
Any other nominations for secretary? I will entertain a motion to use a unanimous vote approving our secretary.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Looking at the minutes Any suggested changes or additions that need to be made to last month's minutes? If no suggested changes, I entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, looking at the expenditures. Anything out of the ordinary we should be aware of on the expenditures?
No, it's pretty much business as usual.
The expenditures we need a formal approval of, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Again,
Yes.
I'm so brand new
Yes.
to this position, so, I'm wondering in the expenditures, if there is any way that we can get a list of what was ordered?
Yeah, we could do an invoice, like, do you want all of the scanned invoices or just some of
Not for
them?
things like from Walmart, but just like what's going actually into our library.
Okay. Do you mean materials?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like books, things that are going up for checkout exclusively, or?
I'd have to look at this closer, but I just didn't know if there was further way to, like, if I were to highlight certain things, then I would just come to you for a list of those things.
Yeah, we can definitely include invoices within the packet. And so, like, when I emailed out the packet about a week beforehand, like, I can, if you guys let me know anything you want me to add in, that would be a great time.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, thank you.
All right,
Move to
entertain-
approve.
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Alright, motion carries. Financial profit and loss report.
The only thing that caught my eye is the fact that MDU has just gotten rate increases approved, so the electricity budget is going to need to be adjusted accordingly.
And Marcus, on that, the budget is done, for the year. So what we'll look at is if this does go in the hole or anything, we look at the budget as a whole as the bottom line. So if the bottom line is okay, then we'll be fine, but then, just like you said, with rate increases, when we do the budget for the next year, we usually do add about 10 to 15% increase just to help cover any increases in between the year.
Does that also require formal approval? Expense report, which financial reporting?
It can.
Okay,
Other than that, it can be added with the two of them together, but this is
sure.
considered the financial report as the agenda puts it, so I would put a motion to that one.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Tammy.
Alright, so I included circulation statistics and I included June programming attendance. We are wrapping up our summer programming, so it's been a fairly busy couple of months for my programming librarians. But we've had fairly good attendance at pretty much everything that we've put on. We've had a ton of people come into, we had a magician show, and then we had, what was it? It was just kind of like a storyteller, performer / puppeteer. And I know we've had really good attendance for both of those events. Our adult craft club has actually been bringing in like 40 to 50 people, and so that's been really, really nice. So it's been good. Story time, I know Jade has said she's had up to 30 kids sometimes for story time. So we've had really good attendance there. As you guys can see on June programming attendance, teen is always the lowest, and it's difficult for every library to get teenagers with time and interest to come into the library. So that's kind of a struggle, but Rachel is working on it. She did start a D&D club, and we actually have a wait list for people to join it. There was a lot of interest within the community for a D&D club, so that's been going really, really well. And everyone who has joined it has been attending regularly, so
These
she's
are all
been really
ages.
pleased. It is, I think 13 and up. 13 and up is what she said. And she kind of created different clubs because some people had never played D&D, some people were pretty experienced, and so she kind of tried to split them up within like age group and within experience level, so that way everybody would kind of be on the same page when they play. So
What's the?
Dungeons and Dragons.
No. What do I know?
It's a role-playing game. She actually filled out a grant to get, oh my gosh, I can't remember what the name of this is. I should have written it down. Like magical cards, like something similar to D&D, but it's magic in the name.
Oh, yeah, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering, yes, thank you, yeah. So, and that did get fulfilled, so now she has Magic the Gathering cards, so she is planning on creating Magic the Gathering clubs as well. And our Pokemon card, like all of our card
That's
games, I guess, card-based games are going off pretty well, so.
So Danielle, this is just because I'm familiar with this, having owned the store here in town. Where did you guys source your Dungeon Masters from?
Rachel does it.
Oh, she does. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So she's very familiar with the game. So she's been doing it thus far.
Now, I know that there used to be like a gaming club in town,
Mhm.
like I think the Stark County Gaming Group, and there are several people there that could maybe serve as DMs too, because you need a dungeon master to run the game, and so I'm sure that's one of the limitations that you guys have right now. And over the years since the store has closed, I have had some people reach out to me and ask me if I'm aware of games in town that they could run or this or that. I mean, we used to have 25, 30 people that were fairly regular players
Mhm.
of D&D at the store, and so I could maybe connect Rachel with some people that could maybe help from a DM standpoint.
That would be great. Yeah.
Danny, you said that they were split up based on experience, but that Rachel was also running DMing for pretty much everything. So are these games held like simultaneously? Are they put off into like groups at like tables? What's the layout here?
They're actually held at different times, and so she has like a Saturday group. She's got like a Tuesday evening group and a Thursday evening group or something like that. And so I'm not sure specifically of the times, but she would know. Our plan is actually, because we have so much programming scheduled for the fall, that we're probably going to set up a separate D&D calendar. So that way, because it's been difficult to kind of squeeze in the D&D sessions on the regular calendar, so.
My only thought is that knowing what that's like and having how many different groups, that I think Rachel must be going a little bit insane by now. So I think the more people we can bring in, the better. And of course, everybody's different. Everyone's going to have a different style for things. So the more many and varied experienced people we can bring in to run things, I think the better experience it'll be, especially for people that are inexperienced, especially the younger kids.
Oh yeah, that sounds great, yeah.
Two things, it's Stark County Gaming Society on Facebook.
Gotcha.
And two, I used to run a very successful Magic the Gathering draft night, so maybe we should talk.
Definitely. All right.
I would just love to add, so if we have ideas for programming for that 13 through 17 age group,
Mhm.
Rachel is the one who, like, is she the one that started the D&D group?
Yes.
That was her idea?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, she is the one that runs, she's our teen librarian, like teen and youth services librarian. She has been doing a lot of adult programming lately too, but yeah, basically like 13 and up.
So like, if we wanted to get on the calendar, like, a book club for youth, I think that there is like multiple people that do that on their own, but to draw people into the library,
Mm-hmm.
she would be the contact person for that then.
Yep, she can help you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One other quick question. So I think Tierney Yoder is one of your youth employees now, or like
Yes.
whatever you guys call them, like
Library page.
Yeah, library pages. And she's one of our youth commissioners, and they've expressed a lot of interest in like creating opportunities. So maybe we need to create some type of liaison relationship between the youth commission and the library, and
So-
that could help with programming as well, because they have a lot of really great ideas on how to.
We've actually been talking about that, Rachel and I have. It's called like a tag group because it's like the Teenage Advisory Guild, I believe it is. And I actually told Rachel, I don't know if she has yet, but I told her to reach out to you because I knew you ran the youth group for
Yeah.
the commission. And so I figured you would be a good point of contact in order for her to get a tag group started.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's, actually this kind of leads into my other thing because I'm trying to get, I guess, an official volunteer program, kind of like the policy for one. I've been working with Shelley from HR to kind of figure out, and Greg from safety to kind of figure out what I would have to do in order to get volunteers from like an HR and safety perspective into the library. But that was, part of it was if we could get more teen volunteers, because I think that's kind of what teens are probably looking for more than just library programming
Mhm.
necessarily. And so we have discussed a lot. I know Jada, our new marketing outreach librarian, has talked about starting like a homework club. So like kids can come in after school and like get homework help. And I think that that would be great if we could have high school kids like helping elementary school aged kids with homework. I think that would be awesome to get just some more teens in,
Yeah.
as volunteers, so. So that is the other thing. I am looking to write policy for a volunteer program. I would like to have something written out, and I would like to have, or to be able to get volunteers into the library, even if it's just for specific events like summer reading kickoff, or if we just have like a big event coming up. So that's kind of what I've been working on now. Jada, our new marketing outreach librarian, has been doing really great. She's been doing great with Facebook posts. I don't know if you guys follow us on Facebook, but you should. And she's been posting a lot of things, which is really nice. So she's been kind of getting out there. She did ask on Facebook kind of what people would want from the library, kind of what kind of programming. And she got a lot of requests for financial literacy, like better financial literacy. So Jade actually wrote a grant because ALA put out a grant for financial literacy programming for kids. And so it would talk about like money, savings accounts, like different things like that for children, and it gives all of the lesson plans and all of the information. We haven't heard if we received it or not yet, but we put that into motion. And Bobby also said he would like to do that at the Billings and Slope County school districts that he goes to on the bookmobile. So that would be good. My thought was perhaps to throw like a financial literacy fair. I know they had Rivera at the city talking about financial literacy not that long ago. My only thought with bringing in one individual entity is, I don't want them to solicit business when they come in. Since it is a public building, public place, so it would essentially, we would just need to keep it informational, or as informational as possible. So my thought was, well, what if we set up booths and invited different banks, you know, Edward Jones, all these different like financial places to come in, and they could set up booths, and then people could go in and talk to the financial agencies and figure out what they needed, like if they needed advice on a 401k, or if they needed estate planning help, or if they needed investing advice or help. So that was kind of my thought as a financial literacy fair, to kind of avoid that solicitation aspect of it. So
One way you could maybe avoid that is, instead of partnering with like Prevera or Bank of the West or whoever, get like Stark Development and the Chamber on board
oh, okay.
as like you know, sponsors, or like partnering sponsors, because then they can, maybe they've got some contacts and resources, or maybe there's even somebody at like DPS, like a business teacher that wants to come and be like a keynote speaker or something like that, and then you could still do those booths, but you'd have the people that could or from DSU that would be able to speak to the financial literacy piece.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
In particular, Tim Kessel writes quite a few
Oh.
articles on financial literacy. So he got a couple published this last year.
Perfect, that would be awesome. Tim Castle.
To circle back a little bit here, Danny, I know you said that they were posting a lot of stuff on Facebook.
Yes.
You said that was Jade, right?
Jada.
Jade. I'm always making that wrong. Give me a couple months. But one thing I noticed last year, because Rachel, of course, had been in contact right after you started to drop off those flyers and everything else. We had plenty of kids interested, especially the ones who were practically living in the middle school library. But what they really wanted was a way to reach out that wasn't through Facebook or Remind or anything like that. They wanted to be able to follow along with the library and everything they have going on. But younger kids, especially that 13 to 17-ish audience, really doesn't use Facebook as much as even my age group does anymore. It's not as much of a thing anymore, and it's very much like the thing for which apparently I'm a part of, the old people now. I don't know. So I don't know if it's possible to get like something a little more accessible that people that age would be more eager to search out, instead of having to go through the the agony of having to go to Facebook, instead of just, thanking grandma for her birthday. It's just a thing, I mean, they truly see it as this kind of like social pariah sort of thing, which I mean, I'm being dramatic, but.
Yeah, what were you thinking, like Snapchat?
As much as like that is, and I'm rolling my eyes at myself here, so bear with me, but I don't think that like, before it gets banned, like a TikTok page would be a bad idea. Because I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of libraries that use TikTok.
oh yeah, and they're extremely popular too. I mean, not only looking at like in the best case scenario possible source of revenue, but also thinking that like, okay, how many kids have I talked to in the past 6 months who have the attention span of a goldfish? Who need, like, 10 seconds, that's what's happening at the library. Like, I can go to that. Yeah, why not? Or even something like, does the library, they don't have an Instagram, I'm assuming, or anything like that.
We do have an Instagram. I don't know how often we've been posting on it recently.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of overlap there, I guess. But I think maybe a little more heavily leaning into the social media aspect, like go at it on their terms, wouldn't be a bad idea. To kind of, wave the giant flag that says, hey, we're over here, we still exist,
Mhm.
That's the feedback we've gotten from the youth commission, is Instagram and Snapchat. That's what-
Instagram and
That's
Snapchat.
what kids use, and
Okay.
TikTok, but they understand like the security concerns of
Yeah.
TikTok and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And I don't know how you're posting, if they're doing it from their phone or if they're doing it from a desktop. If you're doing it from a desktop, it's really easy to tie all those apps together and post all of them at the same time. So,
And there are definitely, for the more computer literate among us, I know that there's ways that just it gets done automatically. You don't even need to worry about it anymore. So I mean, there's definitely with a little bit of elbow grease, we could set something up so it's not even any extra manpower that we need. It's whatever we have going already that just happens to get cross-posted to whatever else we happen to put in place.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, I will talk to Jade about that, and I'm sure she'll get that figured out. It is funny because we did look into like doing a TikTok like at the very beginning of this year when I first started, and none of the librarians knew how to use TikTok. And so it was essentially like, okay, what part-timers do we have that are still in high school that probably use it? And Tierney did offer, she's like, oh yeah, I can show you guys. So I was like, all right, thank you, because we're not familiar.
I'm not against using platforms of social media for sure, but I just am old school in thinking that building relationships with kids is gonna be what's lasting. And I don't know how the programs work at the middle school because my kiddos are not in the public school system. So it would be interesting to be developing throughout the school year. Whoever is the librarian, you would know best because you were at the middle school, right?
Mm-hmm.
In getting that information from the library into the school, I think that there's still something to be said about knowing the kids and doing the face-to-face interaction through the high school or through the middle school. Whether that's flyers, I don't know how it's done.
Yeah, my teen librarian, Rachel, was actually going to look into possibly even doing some programming at the high school for the teens. She was the drama coach at the high school last year, so she does know quite a few teens that are within the high school already. And so we were talking about that. I've also been meeting with Janelle from the
Southwest Art Gallery and Science Center.
Yes, and she did a couple of teen lock-ins at the high school last year. And I thought it would be great to maybe get Rachel involved in a couple of those teen lock-ins as well. Maybe do a couple of activities with the kids. So we will look into that too. There is some shifting going on in Medora. Bobby has weeded anything that hasn't circed within the last, I think, 7 years. He was pretty generous with it. So Medora wants more space in their library to keep kids in during snow days, I believe it was. So he is planning on doing some shifting there. I might send a few employees to go help with that or aid with that shifting. So that's what's going on there. Jade also wants to do some shifting in the basement. When she did run her weed report for children's fiction, she only pulled like 500 things, and so I mean it's getting checked out a lot. And she's definitely going to order more than that this year. So if we could figure out a way to put in more shelving, which I think she kind of has. So she wants to move the teen computer station kind of over to where at one point we were planning to put offices down there. And since then there's just been big shelving just kind of sitting there. So the offices won't work because we would have to redo the fire sprinkler system within the building in order to put in the offices, because otherwise the sprinkler system doesn't work right. So Jade was thinking of putting the teen computers over there, and then that way we can extend shelving all the way up to the offices, which are now Jade and Rachel's office. So that was kind of what she was thinking. She wanted to do this over August 14th through 18th. And the easiest way to do this would be to close down the basement and just have it where if people wanted books from the basement, then they could just request them and then we could have staff go and grab them. Okay.
So Danielle, what is our standard on calling the collection? Like, is it, do we cut a book if it hasn't been checked out in 5 years, or like, what's our standard there?
We've been doing 5 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So if it's been sitting on the shelf for half a decade.
So we don't have anything that's been in, like, collecting dust since 1952 or anything like that?
No, I mean, if it gets checked out and it's from 1952, then it stays on the shelf.
Yeah, okay.
But if it's not getting checked out, then that's when it gets removed. So, yeah.
And that's all in Odin or whatever system we use?
Yeah,
last check
and just
update.
in general, with the PLS report asks us so the public library survey asks us every year if we're weeding according to the crew method, and that's just part of the crew method. So, just kind of something that was created in, I believe, by the Texas library system, and it's just something that our state library recommends that we use. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So to clarify, you said she only took out 500 books in the last year?
Yeah, I think it was a little under that. She ran a report on what hadn't circulated within the last 5 years, and she only got like 420 books, I want to say.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, that's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah. So I mean, it's obviously a collection that's getting used quite a bit, so that's good.
So is there a standard for how many books you want put into a collection per calendar year? Like you said, she only took out 420, and she'll replace those 420 or even above that?
Yeah, even above that. Last year we put in a little over 7,000 new items into the library.
Into the children,
Just the library is total. Yeah.
Can you clarify with the crew method, knowing that circulation is not the only thing considered when weeding books or taking items out of the library? Can you just go through what crew?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you guys all the copies of the
Yeah.
little forms and stuff too. Yeah, I'll make a note to do that. But in general, as librarian, obviously, you can't just keep ordering books because you don't have room. So the crew method talks about if a book hasn't circulated within so many years, then it should get pulled. If a book is a nonfiction book and it is so many years old, then it should get pulled. If the book is gross, like if it's getting moldy or old, or if it's really, the binding is breaking, then it needs to get replaced. And if that's not possible, if it's out of print, then it should get pulled. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of how it is. But that is also a really good way on how the community communicates with the library. So like if books are getting checked out, then we know like these specific types of books. Okay, so our community has a want or a need for this specific, 300 books or like books in the 300 in the Dewey Decimal System is what I was thinking of. So it's kind of a nice way that the community kind of communicates back to the library and almost like tailors the collection to what it needs. Because if it's not going to check out these books, then we pull them from the shelf.
One of the things I think as a parent and as a parent who has checked the circulation on your library website is when people place a request, when you read the library website, it says for sure like your request it's not 100% granted. I'm wondering if there could be, and maybe, again, this is my first time sitting up here, but communication to if someone does put a request. I know in the past I have, just as a Dickinson citizen, and there's no way of telling if it's there unless I go search for it again. And so if there's communication, I don't know if that's written policy somewhere within the library, but if we could, I know that your librarians are ordering stuff as well, but for requests, the communication back and forth for requested books, because there are collections that the library has like 1 through 20, and then there's like 20 through 30 that are written, but just aren't, the collection isn't a whole. And so to make that collection whole and request those books, but just the feedback to citizens, I don't know if there's policy in place already. So.
I thought there was, so I'll have to double check with my librarians and make sure that they're doing what they need to do on their end. Okay. Yeah, I was under the impression that they were, so.
Okay.
So I'll check with them and make sure. Yep.
Can I clarify something? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Are you looking for an acknowledgement after you make your request, is that what you're looking for? I'm just kind of looking on the technology side of things. So are you looking for an acknowledgement that your request was received? Or are you looking for just a little bit further that, yes, we've got it on order type thing, something that responds back
I
to you?
think both would be awesome,
Okay,
as
I-
like,
I'd just like to know, okay.
like, I think honestly, the library, like, we wanna reach our citizens. We want our kids from 13 to 17 in our doors, and I think if my son is like, oh mom, I would love this book, like, this is just random, but my son this summer started reading the Mr. Lemoncello books. And the Dickinson library has, I think, 2, and then, so there's 6 in the series. And so one of the things is like, okay, but I requested that it's ordered so that there's feedback, because that's gonna keep your kiddos coming back for more. And I think there's an importance to that just to our citizens in general.
Okay.
So
I just
take
wanted
ownership.
to make sure the policy states that if we have to redo the policy or anything.
Yeah, I'll look into it and see what the policy states specifically, and then I'll make sure, because even procedure, like they should be
Just the
kind of
feedback.
reaching, yeah, exactly, just
One way or
as
another,
general
I think
procedure.
is important.
Yep.
Danielle, I apologize for my ignorance on this, but like, how do we communicate which books are new at the library? Do we make postings on the website or on Facebook about like, hey, these are the books that are new this week, or anything like that?
So it's actually set up through our ILS, Polaris. So when books kind of come in, like the newer books that we enter into the catalog, if you click on the library catalog through our website, they'll actually have little like round, I can't remember the specific term for them on our website. Carousel, thank you. They'll have carousels that show the newer books for like
Okay.
each collection. So you can just kind of like scroll through. We also have our newer books set up and displayed right across from the circulation desk in the library.
Okay.
So you can see them that way as well.
And then going back to Kimberly's point from earlier, I agree with her. It would be nice to get like a list of the items that have been added to the collection, and then maybe genre and age, like target age or something like that, because that way we can if as the library board we see like, hey, we've really focused on children's books in the last 3 or 4 months, we can kind of ask the question like, you know, is there a specific reason why we focused on the children's collection? Is it just that time of year that a lot of children's books come out, or something like that, just so that we can do our due diligence to make sure that we have and you guys are doing this, but like as a board, like we have a certain amount of responsibility to make sure that it's like as well-rounded of a collection as possible.
Cindy, do you know a way we could do that? We might have to kind of look into it. So like we have the invoices, and then we enter them into the catalog. I don't know if we could run a report that specifically states
Could run
like,
a report by collection, but not necessarily by age group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like adult versus children.
But yeah, and maybe
Oh,
maybe
once it's-
maybe title and genre is
Right.
enough. I just
But once it's in the system, your call number is going to tell us what section of the library is, and then tell us kind of the estimated age range. So I think just having that information.
because I mean I think we all sometimes get like tunnel vision of like, hey, I'm really fired up about the children's collection right now, and maybe as a result you don't put as much focus on another area, and so like maybe we can help, not hold you guys accountable, but call out on those situations where like, hey, you know, we've only added 50 items to the adult section in the last year. Why is that? And we can ask that question then. So
okay.
if that makes sense.
I also don't know if this kind of goes in pair with that. I think that's a fantastic idea of just like even by month, whatever would be ordered to be added to the collection, that we would have a list of that, but also the items that have been weeded. Is that possible to make a list as they go through?
Cindy, sorry, my tech services librarian actually happens to be right here, which is kind of convenient.
I could run reports on deletes, I
Okay.
believe. I would have to look at them.
Okay.
It'd just be helpful to see what's coming in, what's going out, just for historical purposes, I think, for someone to know that.
it is something that I'd be curious about, like, you know, maybe, yeah, maybe there's some historically very significant series that all of a sudden has just fallen out of favor and hasn't been borrowed for 5 years. It's just, that's just a kind of a curiosity of my own that I'd be interested in seeing as well. So, like, do kids still read Hardy Boys books type of things? So, I don't think they do.
They remake them.
I like to remake them.
My
Yeah.
kids, my kids read
Okay,
movies.
alright.
Well, they have a TV show for it now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so then it could be, yeah. All right, let's see, repairs. There is a ticket system that I logged into. And so I submitted a ticket to repair our windows. I asked Mark to kind of Mark is our buildings and grounds individual. And I asked him to kind of make a list of the repairs that he felt were the biggest priority. So our windows kind of above the stairs when you first walk in and then going over into the adult computers, they're leaking. And so I noticed it on a Saturday, of course, when we were getting a ton of rain, like I think last month at some point. And so I did submit a ticket to Buildings and Grounds in order to get that looked at. I think hopefully they just have to kind of reseal them and then that'll be the end of it. Also, 2 of the pumps that connect to our air conditioner have broken. Martin's Construction came in and replaced one. They had to order the second one, so hopefully that gets replaced soon. It's been very hot on hot days. I mean, I guess it's kind of nice we've had kind of a cooler July than usual, but in places like Cindy's office, poor Cindy, it's been getting pretty warm. So we are working on that, and hopefully we will get that fixed soon. On August 18th, I would like to have a staff day. So if it's possible, I know my predecessor would close down the library twice a year for a staff day. I feel like it's kind of needed. Some of my librarians have asked if there's a way that we could go over certain things with the entire staff at once. I know like Cindy had made a request just to kind of show them like where barcodes go and where stamps go on the new books, because we usually have our pages do that kind of stuff. And I'd like to go over some safety stuff within the building, like what to do in case of a fire, what to do in case of tornado, just kind of general safety things. And I would also like to do some team building, because we have had a lot of new staff and I feel like they don't really know each other very well. And so I would like to give them an opportunity to kind of all be in the same place at the same time to get to know each other. So I'm requesting that you guys let us close the library for August 18th in order to do staff team building.
Accept a motion?
Is there any potential conflicts with that, any potential issues? Have you looked at the calendar or anything like that, where we might have, for whatever reason, more people in town that may want to check out the library or something like that weekend?
I know August is our programming month,
Okay.
our programming planning month. Thank you. So I know within the library we will not have anything going on.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why they used to do them in May and August. So
Could make a motion for the 18th to be an all-staff training day.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I would just say, I don't know if the board necessarily, I don't know if that's necessarily something that the board even has to approve. That's a little more day-to-day than I think the board necessarily needs to be. I think me personally, I would trust your decision-making there. I don't know if that's what we've done in the past, if the board has approved it or not,
I
but
think it was just a comfort thing for Rita.
sure.
In the
Oh,
past,
okay.
I know we've always made a motion and accepted it.
Yeah, from a boardmanship standpoint though, I don't know if that's something that we necessarily have to get
approved.
involved in. What do you think, Mom?
Both ways. The board does not have to, the board does more of the policies and the director does the operations part of it. So you really don't need an approval, but it has been, since I've been here, it's just been, as Troy mentioned, it's been more of a comfort from the board stating that they know that that date is, the library will be closed that day, but then you'll be open on Saturday then.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm supportive of this, and I'm gonna vote in the affirmative. I don't know if it's
If
something.
it's necessary in the
I
future.
think it is an operational question. I don't know if it's something that we necessarily have to approve, but notification would be good.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, since the motion was made, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else? Good business?
No, I think that is all of the director's report.
I did have a question, which probably should have been thrown at the beginning. We have had done board training in the past. I was able to catch one where we brought all 3 boards together. Being we're a fairly new board, is that something that we could potentially arrange? I know the last time was done through the state library and we brought all 3 of the library boards together, but
Is that something we can do, Linda?
or is there something like in the strategic plan? Because I know sometimes within a strategic plan, there might be board planning or board training planned throughout that process too.
I was gonna state that, I do believe there is training through the state, through the state library that will come out here and, put some trainings together and I think that is, I was never a part of that one, but I do remember, Ms. Ann always talked about that when they had really brand new boards, that they would bring somebody out and then bring all the boards together of the 3 library boards out here, and anybody that wanted to come to it, and just did the training on what the rules were, the bylaws, what the century code stated and things like that. So it might be something that you could check into and, just call this, what's her name?
Monica.
Mary Susie?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I would check into that and see if we can't put something together. And you can always send out an email to the board and to let them know, and then foundation board is meeting tomorrow, I believe.
If Monica was able to do this, would you guys be free on August 18th? Because then maybe we could just do it all together, or like just in general. If not, it's okay.
I am not, I have stuff at DSU that day.
Gotcha.
Fridays at the fall are hard for me.
Okay.
I know I'm gone that day too, I'm out of town.
Okay. But yeah, I will reach out to Monica and see if there is something that we can set up. That's a really good idea.
We could bring it up to the foundation board also.
Yeah, I actually meet with the foundation board and the friends board this week, so I can reach out to all of them.
Next time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, a motion to adjourn.
Are we discussing the
Oh.
August date?
Yes, August 8th. Do we want to discuss that now or just put out?
I think it's easier to discuss it when we're all
For
together as opposed to just emailing.
Yep.
Are we discussing the library expansion ideas?
Yeah, that as well.
Oh, there's unfinished business. Oh, jeez. Got all confused with it. Well, I take that back. Good thing nobody made the motion. So, why don't we head back to the expansion ideas? Did that committee meet?
No, we haven't started it yet because I was kind of waiting till the new board members got
Wonderful.
here to see if we could get 2 members from the library board, because my thought is 2 members from the foundation board, 2 members from the friends board, and then 2 members from the library board, just to kind of meet and figure out what direction they want to go as far as an expansion. Yeah, and just kind of give me more direction as to what I should be doing and what kind of fundraising they would want to do. So
Danielle, I know that we've done significant work on like architectural drawings and stuff like that.
yes.
And Linda, maybe perhaps this is a question for you. what was the cost of that? And like, let's say that we did come up with ideas that were counter or different than the ones that were
Have already been
already
drawn up.
presented and drawn up. What's the additional cost that we might incur for something like that? Do you have like a ballpark?
Just in past experiences, not just with the library, but past experiences on redraws, you're looking at anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000.
Because I mean, I think this is something that we want to make sure that we get right, that fits the needs of the library and the community at this time. And I think maybe that's changed over the course of the last couple of years. We have a lot of different entities that have kind of come forward with different ideas. You know, the Art and Science Center is going to be presenting something to the City Commission tomorrow night. I think they have a space, but is there an opportunity to perhaps supplement what they're going to be doing in a library expansion, as well as, you know, the Youth Commission has ideas in regards to different programming options and things like that. And so is there an opportunity for partnership there with the library as well, and setting it up in a way that is more attractive to that teenage population? And what does that look like? I don't know, but I think maybe that there are some opportunities for some changes, especially with us being kitty corner from the downtown square and things like that. I mean, I think that there's some really exciting opportunities for synergy between a lot of different entities in town that could partner with the library and really bring, not that it isn't vibrant now, but really increase its presence and vibrancy in the community. And we just have a really great opportunity here, and I think to roll up our sleeves and really interact with those different user groups and the stakeholders and just see what they need and what they want, and see if that aligns with what we're looking for as a library board and a library.
And I think that's kind of why, like I agree with you, but I think that's kind of why a committee is needed, because we need kind of like more direction in general. Like, okay, so what are more of steps A, B, and C? And like, I know as the library director, I feel like I need more direction in general. Like, what do you guys want me to be working towards as far as this goes? And so if we could get kind of all of the stakeholders together, if you get like the board, the foundation board, the friends board, all together in a room, kind of discussing, you know, this is the direction that we kind of see the library going, then perhaps we can kind of get more, I guess, more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was my thought. So if there are 2 members of the board that would like to be on a committee,
I'll
I already
join
know
that.
where Sylvia would love to be, but I mean, if some of the regular board members and not the city commissioner wants to do it, feel free to volunteer.
I'll jump on that, yeah, metaphorically.
I just would love to know, like, what is this gonna look like commitment-wise? How many other meetings, or, you know, like, it's just kind of like a ballpark figure. I'm not against, being involved, but I just don't want to overcommit, and then not be able to be somewhere when I need to be somewhere, you know, things like that. Is that like just meeting a few times? Like, I guess also I'm new in the sense of this library expansion. So my questions that arise from what John had said, like using other sources within our community to maybe meet the library's needs and not necessarily do an expansion. What is the drive behind the expansion? How long, you know, has that process been? And if you're feeling like you need direction, is that something that, like, maybe we should look at other things kind of funneling into, you know, I don't know. I feel like I'm uneducated, but willing to bring thoughts and ideas, but I also don't want to overcommit, so.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure, like, I was gonna kind of let the committee actually decide kind of how often they wanted to meet. I was, I guess, envisioning at least once a month, if not maybe a little bit more. especially if they do decide to go forth with a specific expansion idea or something, and then maybe they might have to meet more to kind of get things off the ground or to kind of set up how they want to do any type of capital campaigning or anything like that. The expansion, like basically we have blueprints that are drawn out already, that they paid an architect company to do. This was it done pre-COVID?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I
Well,
thought.
this conversation's been going on almost
Yeah.
as long as the downtown square conversation's been going on.
So
Yeah, it's been going on a
How
long
many years
time.
is that?
Oh, it's 2017,
2017.
2016, yeah, I mean, so
Yeah.
this has
Actually,
been,
this history's good.
yeah, we've talked about this for a long time.
Yeah, and so essentially they have like architectural drawings, and then COVID kind of hit and it kind of derailed everything.
Sure.
And so I feel that there still is a need for renovations downstairs, because I would like to move adult nonfiction upstairs and just have downstairs be a complete just children and teens and that's it. And I know we need a programming space, and I would love to just have a dedicated children's teen programming space that we could have downstairs. And I know my programming librarians would love to have that not have carpet and just be tile or something that they could just wipe up. And then in the in the back, or the other thing that I foresee is we would have to make some room upstairs for the adult nonfiction section. And there is definitely more of a need for office space. If you go behind the circulation desk to where my librarians are set up, it is incredibly crowded, and they definitely need some more room. So
Have you looked at the plans that are drawn up already?
yes,
Do they include the things you're talking about?
yes.
So, in regard to the discussions that were had back then, are you familiar with those at all? Over the
Vaguely,
last 5 years?
yeah.
And then how much do you see as a change for what's needed versus what's now? Has there been a big change, or is it very similar yet because of the space-wise? What do you see there?
I mean, I guess like because just circulation wise and like programming attendance, like that's always been steady, and so we're kind of at where we were when the plans first began. There is definitely a need for like more programming space. I know our community has asked for study rooms. We get that call fairly regularly to be able to rent out a study room, and we don't have any space or any rooms to provide. So that is something that I think is needed within our community. I don't know if the full expansion is necessarily needed. Like I said, I would want to try to dedicate to getting a renovation downstairs and then getting enough of a renovation upstairs to give my staff more office space and to move the adult nonfiction collection upstairs. And those would be, I guess, my two primary goals in a renovation. Anything else, I mean, if we could get some study rooms, that would be amazing as well, so.
And that's all in those current
Yes,
plans?
yes, all of those things are in the current plans.
So what was the holdup in the last 6 years? Was it funding? Where did it fall off? Because I know the board had always been in support of it moving forward, so where did it not keep going?
It was exactly in the funding. The city commissioners did fund in 2018. They did set aside $3 million, and part of that $3 million was for the RFP to go out and get an architecture. It also did the renderings of the drawings, also did public forums, and then it was to help get a campaign coming. But as Danny mentioned, then COVID hit, and everything just stopped. Well, then when COVID was over, I went back out, and because funding was getting hard to figure out what we were going to do, is when I came with the USDA loan. Brought that to the board, to the person that was going to help us with that. That is still sitting out there. That is out there for 5 years, which we have 3 years left. What that is up to $5 million. It can be for 40 years, the life of the building, and we can borrow that money, and it's very low interest. We got the paperwork in before census changed, so we did qualify for that loan. So that loan is sitting out there. So we have some funding that's brought to, but the blueprints that were brought forward to the commission and to the boards, they were looking at from 12 to 14. You can go 14 to 18 now. So where's the funding gonna come? Or do we, as Danny said, do we look at what we have and do we come back? And I don't believe that we had a, with all the boards changing members, we never had somebody that was definitely set in there for the committee of it. So I think that got lost with the boards. So starting with all these new boards now this week, as Danny stated, we're bringing this forward because we need to know, okay, are there going to be 2 members of each board going forward with the committee so that Danny has direction, which Danny can come to me for direction so we can go to the commissions also. And then where the campaigning's coming from. The Library Foundation is your 501(c), so that's where the campaigning money has to go through and stuff. So that's kind of the history of where it's going
So,
and where it's at.
and another thing that's important to note here is that the city commission committed $3 million to the project, but that doesn't include like Stark County Commission, Billings County Commission, Golden Valley, all those counties that we help support with the library services. And so those are potential funding resources outside of fundraising as well. And so there are, I mean, we have $8 million that is kind of pledged right now with that loan if we decide to go that route. And so that makes the lift a little lighter, but I think that's what I think we were ready to start going to the counties and stuff like that, and then COVID hit, and everything's just been kind of in limbo, on hold since then. But I mean, that's 2018, that's 5 years ago now, and that's why I think it's important to maybe re-educate the community on this project, what the need is, and then if there's anything that they see that maybe they think, well, you know, that was a good idea in 2018, but not such a great idea in 2023. And so that's why I think that we don't have to start from scratch, but we definitely need to like kind of bring this back to the front burner. So, Danny, would you be able to send like the drawings and architectural drawings out to the board so that we can just take a look at it?
Yeah, I can do that.
And then if Kimberly and Luke wanted to be the representatives on that committee, we can send any ideas or thoughts through them.
Yeah, I'll get that sent out to you guys.
I could make a suggestion, I'm just gonna make the suggestion because I know what Kimberly is thinking with all the commitments we have. If you wanted to, you could put 2 members on and then put one in as an alternate. If one couldn't make it, then maybe that person could step in. So if somebody wanna volunteer as an alternate then too, that way there's always gonna be possibly 2 members of your board present, but then the updates, you know, if one can't make it, then there's updates that the board can give too. Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can definitely put me down as an alternate there.
Thanks, Brian.
My concern with this, John, when discussing that, is that we end up going all the way back.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
I don't want that to happen
Absolutely.
when we have a plan that's majority ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would be totally opposed to us like scratching it and saying, hey, the footprint, we're going back to square one on the footprint. I mean, to me, it's just like, it's more of a like the internal spaces within that footprint, like, yeah.
And I think for people that are new, like myself, that don't know the history, I think that that's actually super wise, to just re-inform people of maybe, you know, this happened in 2018, obviously we all know COVID happened, but as the community, I think it's important to inform.
I appreciate that. People don't say that about me a lot, so.
I'll make that my only comment.
We have had it posted on the website for like the past 5 years. Pretty much everything is posted on the website and has been, so it is there. But yeah.
But yeah, like as a new resident, I wouldn't know that there was a library expansion and I wouldn't search for it. So just kind of just lifting the soil that's kind of been put over the top, I think is wise. There's wisdom in that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
The August
And
meeting.
before the August date,
I just have to say that I just really appreciate this setting. I feel like even last month as just being sitting as a citizen, we're so much better heard, and I just want to say that this is like a positive thing. I don't know if we can always hold the meetings here, but I think it's
I agree.
a step
I
in
like
the
it.
right direction, and just
Mhm.
wanted to have a little comment in.
Yep. Yeah, I will definitely like seek out this. This will be my first choice because I agree. It's so much nicer and also a lot less work on my part.
And you know, we might want to schedule our meetings based on the availability of this room then. Yeah.
There's a lot of meetings held in
Yeah.
this one.
And so as we start looking at August calendars, do we want to hit a couple rough dates, or do we first want to seek out the availability of the room?
I would seek out the availability of the room in the month of August and then just, and then,
all the dates.
yep. And that way you can set it up with Rita. She handles this meeting room.
And I know this time doesn't really work for the teachers in the room necessarily during the school year, but I love this time, so.
I mean, if you could use this excuse to get me out of work, I would decline it, but.
Be a hard sell for the district, unfortunately, I think.
Are we still thinking well, I guess in August it's not as big a deal as long as school hasn't
Right.
started yet.
Correct.
Because
So
I mean,
we could do-
usually Dickinson starts like on or close to the 25th, usually.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, as long as we can dodge that or preempt it, I think.
24th is the first day we've PD that whole week. So
Oh, I forgot.
So for August, do you guys want me to look for a noon time? Does that work for everybody?
sure.
Or like a middle of the day, I guess,
Yeah.
time
I'm completely open to
Okay.
that, and then in August we
And
can
then
maybe have a
it's-
discussion if we need to.
Yeah.
about
Maybe
September?
find some openings as far as the regular meeting schedule, and we can
Yeah.
look at planning a new date and time.
Yeah, I wonder if we could have the calendars for this room for just all the way through the end of the year, and then we could gauge better to even have consistency.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know if it's booked out through the end of the year, but.
Well, I'm sure they have like regular meetings, and so we can see when it's open during a regular, like every third Thursday or something like that, like it's usually open or something, and so we can kind of gauge what might work for our schedules.
All right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting officially this time?
I'll make the motion before something else pops up. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Adjourned.